Hi everyone, I'm Nettie Kay. Welcome back to my studio for part 2 of painting a beginning landscape. I hope you got all the way up to this point and you didn't have too much trouble. All right, so now we're going to continue with our landscape. I'm going to be using my hardware brush, or my scruffy brush, or my ratty brush is what we call it sometimes in the classroom. And so get out kind of a ratty brush, and we're going to try a few different kind of techniques today that will be really fun. So now I've got my my little paper plate, and it's got a little paint on it from last time, but we're going to be using that. And then I'm going to, at this stage, I'm going to do something kind of a little bit crazy. We're going to go back in with some red, a little bit of red on our plate, and I want to take my red and some dark blue, okay? Red and dark blue, and that's going to be a really dark value. What does that mean, value? Well, that means if it's light, middle tone, dark, that kind of stuff. That's the value, not how much it's worth, but the value of the color. In other words, if it's light or middle tone or dark, okay? So that's what I mean by that. Now that's a really dark color, that red with that blue. It's a super dark purple. And now I'm going to do this. I'm going to take my brush and I'm going to take it like on its corner, like that, sideways. And then I'm going to do this. I'm going to go like this. I'm going to take some and I'm going to just hit it a little bit and make some little bushy things like this, okay? I'm just doing this. I'm hitting it like this, and then I'm turning it so it looks like a little bit like a fan, all right? So there's some, and I'll bring it down just a little bit here, a little like a fan, and then we'll put maybe some on the other side. Put a little bit over here like this dark color. Now we need the dark. I know it's like, well, that's not a very pretty color. Well, that's okay because we're going to put pretty colors on the top of it. Okay, so we're going to start with the dark so that we can see light colors as we put them on. All right, I'm just going to kind of dab some of that on there like that, just like this. I'm going to leave a little bit of that brown right here so that we can have maybe a little path. Won't that be fun? I'll make a little path coming out maybe over this direction. We'll just see how that goes like that. Okay. Now let's just get into a little bit of just some straight red. Okay, just some straight red over on this side. And I'm going to put just a little bit of red on top of that. Just dab it on a little bit, and it makes an interesting red, kind of a red plant. I don't think I'll put it all over everything. I just want to put a little bit of red on that one. Maybe just a couple of reds, not too many. A little bit like that. And then I'm going to let that dry for a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to let it dry for just a few minutes. And then I want to go back in. I'm going to let that sit for a second. And I'm going to go back in and I'm going to create some color with some teal. Just a little teal. What would happen if I just tried a little teal on there? Let's try it. Okay, I want to put just a little bit of teal on there. Oh my goodness, that's beautiful. Look at that, just a little bit, a little short bit of teal on the bottom. It's just very zingy. Keep it nice and clean, you guys. Nice and clean. Little bit of teal. Okay, maybe straight teal. I like that a lot. And I'm just bringing it down further and further on here. And a little bit more on this side over here. Some teal. Now you can really see it. Okay, good. I'm letting the top part dry as I'm working my way down a little bit. Just like that. What would happen if I added a little bit of white to that teal? To my mixture over here. Okay, so I have some white, some teal, and a little bit of yellow. White, teal, and a little bit of yellow. Here we go. And now the sunshine is coming right about here, and I'm going to put I just barely touching it, you guys, barely touching it with a little bit of that white with yellow, or with teal, and a little bit of yellow. I'm making some little things coming up like that. That's neat. I'm keeping that little V out of the middle. Now, don't worry if you accidentally paint over it. We can always paint that little pathway back in again. So there's our little plants that are getting lighter and lighter. And then let's do some yellow, like just yellow. I'm going to do that on the side of my plate with a little bit of white. And it gets brighter and brighter, yellow and white. Here we go. A little bit of yellow and white. Oh my goodness, that's getting so pretty. And you see how that dark color is going back. You don't want to cover up all your dark back here, but you can put just a little bit of yellow and white on there, and we'll put some over there. I like putting it on just in a few different spots like that. Okay, good. That's wonderful. Good. Now I'm going to go ahead and put my brush back in my water for a second and rinse that around. Now let's make our little pathway, okay? Okay, so now I'm going to take a little bit of my brown color. If you don't have brown, you can mix red and green together and get brown. Yeah, so that's why you don't want to mix them up in your cups or you'll end up with brown paint. That won't be good. But when you need brown, that's good, all right? So then I'm going to take my nicer brush, my filbert brush, okay, and I'm going to come in here with a little bit of brown, and then I'm going to come in like this. This brown is a little bit thin, but we might need to do a couple of little marks of this brown to make sure that it does. And then I'm making kind of a little pathway that goes this way, and then it comes, because it's going into space, I'm going to make it nice and skinny as it goes over there. And it'll be like it's going over a hill. And then I'll bring this out like this to where it looks like it's coming out at you like that. Okay? So here's it's a kind of like a V going into space, upside down. Smaller, skinny, skinny, skinny right up here. And then it goes outward. And then you have a nice pathway to look at right there. And then I'll add a little bit of my white to my brown. I just mix that in with my yellow a little bit. That's okay. I'm putting that in. So white, brown, yellow, whatever. And then I want to go like this and make a little path. Just kind of pick that paint up a little bit and do this. Okay, put a little bit of little strokes going out, like I'm picking up that dark paint right there, and I'm dragging it in a little bit like this. Okay, so here's my little bit of lighter color that I'm mixing. So I put a little bit of white into the yellow and the brown, whatever colors, it doesn't matter. And we're making sideways, kind of little rough, little tiny brush strokes, all right? I'm not going wee, wee, wee. Well, you could if you want, but and I'm leaving kind of some of that dark so that it looks like the sand goes up that way. Okay. Now let's put a little bit of that gold color back in too. Yes, that's good. Some of our raw sienna back in on top of that makes it kind of nice. Just like that. Whatever's on my brush. And then when it dries, it's going to dry a little bit dark, and then we'll put some sunlight on it in just a moment. Okay, that looks pretty good. We'll let that part dry. And now at the same time, I want to take that dark brown. Let's get that dark brown on here. I'm going to add a little bit of blue to it. Let's see what that does. It makes it much, much darker, okay? Sometimes these paints, sometimes the acrylic paints can be really, really thin. And then it makes it very hard for you to get enough paint on there to cover your canvas, all right? So sorry about that. That's just part of the way the paint works sometimes. Now we're going to do a little tree, okay? So I'm going to go, look where my paintbrush is. It's right up in the middle of that mountain right there, okay? So I'm going to take my brush sideways and I'm going to make a little trunk coming down, and it's kind of wiggly, and it comes down into that little pile of bushes right there, all right? So here's a little blue and brown, and then I'll put in a little limb coming out like that. He has a little arm coming out like this. Yeah, maybe a tiny one coming out that way a little bit. Maybe some more down here. and make that one come right out, right over the edge of that mountain. Look at that. Ooh, that's a big one. Kind of like that. So I'm giving them some limbs like that, and then we'll do the same thing over here, okay? I'm kind of making this matchy-matchy just to practice a little bit. So now this time we're going to go up into the purple mountain. Let's see, where shall we put this one? We'll put this one right here, up into the purple mountain. So above the green mountain, we're going to make a line that comes down like this, like that, like that. And then we're going to give them some arms, little armies. And they get a little bit longer as they're on the bottom. So they're shorter on top, little short ones on top. And then they get longer as they come out, okay? Longer. This is kind of the more challenging part for some of our beginners. That's okay. That's not a problem. And I'm just making some little, I picked up some of that red. That's okay. And I'm making just some little Ys coming off of some of these branches like that. We're going to put some pretty green stuff on there in just a few minutes. Make a couple more coming off of here too. There we go. You can make as many little branches as you like, okay? You can keep them going. You can make them smaller, 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 and fill up the whole canvas if you want. Not a problem. Now, how about we make one more big one right here, and let's take it above that purple mountain. Okay, so now I'm going to go all the way up into the sky. Look at that. Up into the sky, and I'm going to make it nice and fat and bring it down right almost to the road. How's that? Maybe we'll make it kind of come out into the road a little bit there. Got a lot of paint on that one. And then we'll make some more branches, maybe have it come all the way out like that. Over, look at, I went right into the sky. Isn't that nice? Went right into the sky. I meant to do that. Yes, I did. And then I'll put some here. Maybe that goes up into the sky. That goes up into the sky there. And I'll make some more little limbs. I know it's hard to see those because our background's so dark, but that's all right. And these are kind of weird trees, but they are interesting. Okay, so there's our tree trunks. I'm going to make this trunk come out like that. Look at that. It's got a little trunk at the bottom. Maybe it comes down into the road a little bit. That's good. Okay, good. Yeah, and you can make more trees if you want. You can put some little trees over here, whatever you like. Okay, so now the next thing I want to do is I'm going to take my ratty brush again, and I'm going to put some of that raw sienna color, that kind of tan color like this, and then I'm going to put some white on it like this, just a little bit like that. Mix it up, maybe a little bit darker, but not too dark. I want it nice and grassy like this. And then I have my brush like this, and I'm going to come up over here and put some nice bright grass in it like that. So I'm going to go boom, boom, and then make some little grass like this. So it's nice and bright, like that. A little bit of grass. Maybe just a little bit over here. Maybe just kind of coming up over a little bit of that stump. Right down to the road. Right down to the road. There. Okay. Now this is the time when we can go in now and take our nice brush, and I've got it kind of nicely rinsed out here. Now I can take my nice brush and get some more white on my brush and take a little bit more white to that we just made. And I'm going to put just a few little strokes of some beautiful feeling of sunlight, just kind of maybe in some little Z's coming across there, just a little bit here and there, so it feels like light is coming across the road a little bit. Going to add a little bit more yellow to it. There, okay. Now, here's the next fun part. I'm going to take my brush and I'm going to now put in some yellow. Put some yellow on there. And then I'm going to get that lovely teal color. Ooh, pretty. Teal color. and I'm going to put that onto the yellow like this. And I don't want too much paint on there. I got to be careful. And then I want just a tiny bit of white. Okay, tiny bit of white. I'm going to be careful I don't put too much white in there. Like that. Okay, so now that's a nice minty color, isn't it? That'll be good. And now I'm going to come up here like this, and I'm going to put some little branches just by barely touching it. And I put some little leaves onto our branches. Not making branches, I'm making leaves onto our branches like that. There. And I want this side being light color right there. Just drop my towels. So it looks a little too white. I got to be careful I don't put too much white in there. And I'm just kind of making some little blot things like that. And then I put a little bit more on that side. And it should show up nicely on our darker background. There. Don't forget to go across the front of your tree a little bit too, not just on your branches. Just like that. Now I'll do the same thing over here. A little bit on this tree. Like that. And I'm just putting a little bit of paint on there. Making some branches, making some leaves. Just like this. And up here. Isn't that pretty? There. So a little teal, a little yellow, a little white makes that nice and bright. And I leave some of that trunk sticking through. Just a little bit. And then on top of that, then I take the yellow. This is exciting. Yellow on my brush, a little bit of white. And I've got just a little bit of a mint green there. Let's see. A little more yellow. And I can make a little bit of a lighter side by just putting a little yellow and white on one side, just like that. Okay, a little bit of yellow and white on one side, on the right side. Find your right hand, put a little bit of that light color over on that side. That's where the light is coming from. You want a light side and a dark side if you possibly can. Okay. A little bit more of that yellowish color. You can go back in with your darker greens and kind of mess with it a little bit. Don't hit it too many times, otherwise it'll get kind of boring looking. Isn't that interesting? Yeah. Now here's a cool trick. I want to show you one more really cool trick before we go. And that is, I'm going to take my nice brush here, and now I'm going to go in with some of that purple color that we made before. Let's see, a little bit of that blue, a little bit of red, and I'm going to add one more tricky color, a little bit of teal. Okay, blue, red, teal. And I didn't mix it up too much. And I'm going to think about the lights coming from the right side here. Now I'm going to put some shadows going across the road. And you don't have to do this one if you don't want to. That's okay. I'm going to put a few trees going that direction. Only on this side you can't see the shadow. So we're just going to put this one right here. There's a tree right here, remember? And so I'm going to have a little shadow that goes across there. And then one that goes right there. And it probably kind of fizzle out a little bit as it goes across the road like that. And then you can take a little bit of your lighter paint, just a tiny bit of that lighter paint, maybe some light tan color, and put a light side on your tree trunk right like that. Okay? A little light side on your tree trunk right there. There, like that. A little light side on your tree trunk. So it's got a light side and a dark side, just like that. Here's one here. There, like that. It's got a light side of the tree trunk and a dark side of the tree trunk, just like that. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Good. All right. Well, I hope you enjoyed our beginning lessons on how to paint a landscape. Next time we meet, we'll be painting something completely different. So I do hope you'll join us. and I'll see you again very, very soon. Bye-bye for now.